Mike Malone is the greatest player development coach in the history of basketball. This statement was declared by the UNC graphics guy and Mike Malone himself. Yeah,
Wow.
I think he might be because what he did with Denver, and now going to UNC, he could be one of these coaches that makes some history because I did see with March Madness over, there's always a lot of basketball talk, seeing a lot of the stats. Um, but the one thing I saw there hasn't been a coach that has won both the NBA and the NCAA championship other than Larry Brown. I think he's the only coach that's
Hmm.
won it both. And like I say, what Mike Malone did with Denver being able to win it, you got a guy like Joker, you should be able to win it, but still, you have to coach that team and get them there. And him being able to do that fresh and now going you know, to college, it's gonna be history. I think there's a lot of coaches that could do it. A lot of coaches should be doing it that aren't doing well in the NBA anymore. Doc Rivers should be a coach that just goes into college. I don't know if you saw the news. He's stepping down from the Bucks. Um,
Makes
give
sense.
give college a try. You haven't done it in the NBA since your Celtics little run. Um, Time to go down. Bill Belichick did it. Just don't do the Bill Belichick thing. Don't find a very young girlfriend that so is in
Mm.
competitive cheerleading after college. But yeah,
Yep.
you know, the UNC graphics guy and Mike Malone, they think they're the greatest, and I think yeah, he will be a great player development because he knows what it takes to win in the NBA in pro sports.
Absolutely. Yeah, no props to them. It's a big talk. Quick little snippet about Doc Rivers. He
Mhm.
is being called Cock Rivers by much of Bucks Nation this past week. His son has stepped in and said, if I hear that one more time, I swear. It was pretty funny. Enjoyed that parody coming through, but yeah, the Bucks were absolutely awful since he
Mhm.
took over. Not surprised by the following, especially when you play Giannis's brother 27 minutes in the final
Mhm.
game of the regular season,
Yeah.
and I don't know how he's on a team. Entertaining though, I will say
Yeah.
that. Very entertaining. But as far as Mike Malone goes, this graphic was kind of crazy. Saw it this morning. It was quite the announcement. I think he is the master of if you did it once, you are an absolute savant at what you do. He has, I believe it's Antoine Jameson, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Nikola Jokic, Klay Thompson, Jamal Murray, Chris Paul, Harrison Barnes, amongst others, on this saying he basically developed all of them.
Hey.
I think he was with the Warriors for a whopping 2 seasons. LeBron James, I think he was there in Cleveland for a couple years, 3 years as a assistant coach.
Hmm.
Um, hey, he was around them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of smart. This is kind of what you do on like a resume. It's like, dude, somebody tell
Yeah.
Mike Malone he's already got the job.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. I guess this is good for recruiting, but
Well, yeah.
newsflash, Mike, you just have to have the money now. You
Yeah.
don't really have to do much recruiting. Just wave few bands in their faces, and you get a few players. But yeah, I thought it was absolutely fascinating. I'm like, man, so you helped Steph Curry with his three ball, Klay Thompson with that three, Nikola Jokic with, just the way that his pace of play, phenomenal,
Yeah.
phenomenal. But hey, you know what? He was part of it. He was part of
Hmm.
it. So, honestly, I'm pretty close to this. Like, should we start sending resumes into Mike Malone? Because it seems like he could fluff it up quite good. UNC graphics guy did a great job. Getting everybody's photo in there. Hell of a graphic. Hell of a
Yeah.
graphic.
No,
Um,
it's a good one.
it's a good one. It's a good one.
Uh,
But I do think that this is a really good hire. And I did clip, a small little snippet of what we talked about last week with NBA Talk, John, and about that Warrior stuff and, how it might be Steve Kerr's time to, call it quits and kind of move on. And what the hell is
Hmm.
he doing with pods and blah, blah, blah. We had a commenter come on and say, because we threw Dan Hurley's name out there.
Yeah.
We kind of thought
Hmm.
about him for the Lakers job before, thought it made a whole lot of sense.
Hmm.
He's a great coach. Obviously, it was a very entertaining NCAA finals game. I would have loved to see his competitive spirit on the Warriors. I,
Yeah.
I think he would bring a whole lot to them. And the commenter said Mike Malone would be a leading candidate, and I no quorums about that whatsoever.
Yeah.
He would have been a phenomenal hot replacement for Steve Kerr if we ever kind of went that direction. But
Hmm.
clearly, sights were set a different way, so
Yeah.
count Mike Malone out. But I think he will do very good with
Yeah.
UNC. I think that he could be honestly a really good
Hmm.
coach built for college basketball.
Yeah, I think he could be because he has the pro experience, so he knows what those pros need, you know. I think the graphic is recruiting more because it shows that you touch all these players and, other than a few Cousins, Jameson, uh, Danny Green, they were on championship teams, but that's all behind LeBron. But you develop players in, UNC hasn't been doing so well with college. You don't hear the UNC credibility the way it used to be, where UNC was always a top team.
Mhm.
They're pretty down below, UConn, all these other teams are going above them. And, they're not at the level, the Duke UNC games, I don't think they have the same pizzazz that it used to have. So bringing someone
Mhm.
like Mike Malone, who I think will do great with recruiting, UNC is probably going to get a lot more money in NIL, opportunities and be able to bring some of these big names. And, especially I think for like big guys, centers that, hey, I coached the Joker and look at him now. I could teach you what I taught him and the skills he has so you could be the most one of the most successful centers in the NBA to have like all the tools. He's gonna do great. So I think it's a great move. I also think Mike Malone would have done great with Golden State, help
Mhm.
Curry these last 2 years, maybe do something with the team and find the right players, recruit some of these players that he was always having, getting Jamal Murray on Golden State would be nice, you know,
Yeah, would have been great.
so, but yeah, why he took this position. I read somewhere he took it because his daughter sort of mentioned it to him and told him to take it, and he
Oh,
agreed to it.
wow.
Yeah,
Some family influence. Did she
yeah,
go to UNC?
yeah. I think I don't know. She,
Currently there, maybe?
yeah, I think she's currently there. I think she's an athlete.
Oh.
Volleyball. Yeah,
Dad, they're picking on us.
yeah,
Our basketball team sucks.
yeah. That's exactly probably what it was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. In Belichick being there, what would he go 4-8 this past
Barnett.
season?
Mm-hmm.
Lousy,
Yeah.
lousy. My who's king of the hill there? Is it Mike Malone now? You can't go much lower.
Uh,
Are you giving it
I
Bill?
I I think it's basketball. I think UNC was always more of a basketball school than a football school. So I
Hmm,
think he already automatically gets that higher pedestal.
got it.
Um, but he needs to do well. And it depends on how Belichick does in the future, but I don't think Belichick will do much with UNC.
Got it. Yeah. I wonder if Bill tries to be like, hey, cheer team. Jordan can be really good influence for basketball cheer team. And try to get her a good gig there at UNC. Because honestly, if you're Bill Belichick, you got to get her to step aside as your kind of publicist. Um, those interesting interviews going on gets you in the headlines for sure.
Yeah.
But I think if you step aside, let her do her cheerleading stuff. Um, I don't know. You just got to look for ways to kind of turn it around. Team
Yeah.
effort here. When it comes to UNC's athletics. Damn, it's come a long way.
Yeah.
This is
Get
it's such a random college now.
yeah.
Yeah, no, so let me elaborate a bit more about where UNC could possibly head. I think that UNC over this past season honestly was seen as a big underperformer. I don't think it's a big surprise. That they cut ties with their previous head coach and that they're looking for anything to move on. We already kind of prefaced Mike Malone's probably the best fit for this. And as it seems so far, he's kind of getting a lot of commits already. UNC lands Virginia Tech transfer Nicholas Advidalis. Might have butchered the name, but it's okay. We'll move on. Honestly, he's going to work pretty quickly here. And I mean, he's barely signed this past weekend. Epidolus, 6'9" native of Greece, averaged 12.1 points, 3.1 rebounds, 4.6 assists as a freshman. John, filling you in here real quick. Um, Mike Malone going to quick work.
Yeah.
Already got a Virginia Tech transfer. Now, kind of butchered the name. I'll try it again. Nicholas Abdalis, Abdalis, is the V silent, you think?
It could be.
Avdalas. Greece,
Nico Nico is
Ad,
Greek.
Abdalis,
Avdalas. Avdalas.
Abdalis. I like that. There it is,
Avdalas.
Abdalis. Very nice. It's a baller name. It's really good.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Yeah. No, yeah, he's making work. I was listening. I still had my headphones on when I went to go do what I needed to
Oh,
do. So,
perfect. So you
yeah.
heard the first butcher. Very nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but no, like I say, I think they'll start doing a lot, the NCAA basketball tournament, March Madness is over. We'll start seeing a lot of these players go into the transfer portal because it's what I noticed last year. It's like after the tournament, a lot of these big names from smaller schools went into transfer portal and went to the
Mhm.
big schools, get some of that recognition. One was a Cal prospect, Stojakovic,
Oh
Andre,
yeah.
from
Hmm.
Cal, and then, went to Illinois and made it to the Final Four,
Yep.
and was a big part of that, because he was a top player. So you're gonna see a lot of opportunities. Like I said, I think there's gonna be a lot of openings for UNC, and hopefully they can make that run back to being a top tier program in college basketball because it's always good when they are. Having that UNC, they still have the Jordan logos, right? They're the only
I
team with the Jordan.
believe so. Yes, I think
Yeah,
that they've retained that. Um,
yeah,
I don't think Jordan's all that involved. Big time
yeah,
NASCAR guy now.
yeah, yeah. Big time. But still, like I say, having the Jordan logo, Jordan jerseys, getting the, player exclusive Jordan shoes, big selling point you know, for coaches to recruit to UNC. So I think he's gonna have a lot of success. But like I said,
Yeah.
we'll see. Things go crazy. We'll see where UConn's coach, what he does if he decides to make a move after whatever firings happen in the NBA after the playoffs. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah, a lot to see there. Lots of possibilities, a lot of parity. I know that the firings obviously have already started, starting with Doc Rivers. So, yeah,
Hmm.
there's a lot to be seen. We'll see where we go. Quick question regarding
Hmm.
that, though. You think Ty Lue's on the way out, or you think he's
Um,
having too much success?
I would have said yes earlier in the season, but I think the success they're having, he might have bought himself at least another year with the Clippers.
Hmm.
But I'm on the edge because I'm like, what? You guys didn't do anything during, before free or before the trade deadline. Got rid of a lot of players. Like I say, the pick we got from Indiana, the pickups we got are solid, not stars, but they're great. But,
Hmm.
the first round pick that we got from Indiana, protected for Indiana 1 through 4, they're looking like they're going to be the number 1 or 2 pick with their record if the lottery balls go their way. And then we have to wait like another year or two to get a number 1 pick. And this year's draft class, I think, is a pretty solid one. So I would have wished we could have done that, had got it this year, and had something to give Kawhi because I think Kawhi is also on his way out, just age wise. So he bought himself a year, but uh, I'm okay
Yeah.
if we move on.
The 1 year Kawhi decides to play.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
hmm
Yep. Could have had is
Harden.
Dembélé
Yeah. Yeah. And like I say,
if he goes pro.
yeah. Yeah. And like I say, we could have kept Harden if Kawhi is playing this way.
Hmm.
Zubac, he was a great center. Paul George, but I know he's getting suspended. I think uh, PEDs.
Yeah. Yeah, big time
The,
PE guy, PED
yeah,
guy. Yep.
yeah. So,
Unreal.
like I say, we've had a lot of opportunities. We'll talk a little bit more basketball a little later.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm okay if he goes, but I think he might have saved himself another year.
Gotcha. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
makes sense. Makes sense.
yeah,
Um, yeah. I guess all in all, folks, we elaborate a lot. Mike Malone, generational player development
yep.
guy.
He is
Yep.
per that graphic. Per that
Per
graphic.
that. Yep. UNC graphic guy making
Uh,
headlines along with
uh,
Mike Malone. Yeah. Teamed up on a Sunday night.
uh,
Yep.
yeah, no, it's funny.